So we are well into 2023. The real estate market is continuing to be the top story in the economy, or at least up there with the top stories of the economy. I'm following it very closely here in Santa Barbara, and I'm gonna bring you an update. What's going on in the sellers' minds these days? What's going on in the buyers' minds? What are the real estate agents thinking? And what does the data show? I'm Joe Parker with the Santa Barbara Group, Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate. This channel is all about Santa Barbara. I've lived in Santa Barbara my entire life, been selling real estate for 22 years here, and I know it like the back of my hand, and I love sharing it with new people. My team and I help tons of people relocate to Santa Barbara all the time, and we use our channel to educate them about our city here in Santa Barbara and all the various communities that make up this beautiful town. So if you are researching Santa Barbara and this is your first time to my channel, thank you for coming, welcome. Go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification. If you want to get more information about Santa Barbara, I'm putting up videos about every week, so this is going to be the spot to plug you in. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thanks for watching. I've got a ton of data today in this video, and it's going to be great, so let's dive right into it. In this video, I'm going to be going over what buyers and sellers are thinking these days, what's happening with the numbers, and also some of the national trends that continue to impact the market, and it filters into the Santa Barbara market here. So without any further ado, let's talk about the buyers out there. They're actually getting back at it. You know, for a while there, I think it started maybe in about November, maybe October of 2022. They got word that interest rates were going up, this market was about to burst, and a lot of them just pumped the brakes. In fact, almost every buyer I was working with decided to hold off and wait. And what happened was the sales fell. They fell dramatically. We went down maybe 30% in the number of sales, and we remain there today. With the low inventory and the buyers coming back in, they're almost starting to compete again. In fact, I've seen examples of properties selling recently that had that COVID bubble mentality behind the energy that the buyers brought to the negotiation table. For example, a property in Summerlin hit the market, a total fixer, needing a lot of work, like $80,000 worth of foundation work, all the cosmetics of the property. It had a rental unit that was built into the garage without permits. You know, there was a lot going on with it, but it also had a lot of pluses. It had ocean views. It backed up to open space where you could walk out your backyard and go hiking behind the foothills of Summerlin. So they had all these factors going on with it. It came on the market at $1.3 million, which is, I think, a little bit of an aggressive price, but given all those negatives it had, it's hard to know in this market where that thing's gonna land. Well, what happened was 15 people made offers on it, and it went out over asking, 200,000 over asking, all cash, 7-day close, no contingencies. Flashback to COVID bubble, that's exactly the type of offers that we're winning. So they haven't completely gone away. They did kind of disappear for a while, but now as things are picking back up, we're starting to see that some of this energy is creeping back into the market. I don't expect we're gonna see that full-fledged where every listing gets hammered, but the good ones, the ones in the nice areas that are turnkey or have good potential, I think will be getting hammered if they're priced right, because there is that pent-up demand, and it seems to be growing. The demand, the number of buyers coming back into the market is growing, but the number of sellers is not. You know, the number of sellers that have chosen to put their property on the market decreasing. So let's get into the seller's mind. What's going on with the sellers? Why aren't they selling? Presumably we were at the peak of the market. So that's the great time to sell. If you're thinking about selling in the next 3, 4, 5 years, you want to hit that peak, get the most for your property. So a great incentive to sell, but nonetheless, we're not getting sellers selling. And it's the same reasons which I've talked about in some of my other videos. Basically, the sellers love the interest rate they're in right now. They're worried about being in this market of low inventory. Being a buyer out there with not a lot to choose from isn't a great feeling. They're also loving the fact that they probably have a tax basis that's lower than what it will be if they sell and buy something else. So there's a lot of reasons, and it could be too that they got overinflated with value. Their opinion of value for their home was way up there because everything going on in the market was just all these stories of multiple offers and buyers sending them letters in the mail like, please sell me your home. So they were empowered to really put big prices on their homes, and when they didn't sell because they were overpriced, they would take them back and hang on to them and just rent them out or something. So that's kind of what's going on with the buyers and sellers out there. But I also have a ton of data right here on what's happened in the first month and a week of the Santa Barbara real estate market of 2023. So the general summary that I pulled up here of all of the south coast of Santa Barbara. And if you're new to Santa Barbara and you're trying to understand what this community is all about, understand this. Santa Barbara County is made up of North County and South County. Where I work is in the South County, and this is from Goleta all the way down through Carpinteria. So you got Goleta in the northernmost section, and then you got Santa Barbara proper, you've got Montecito, Summerlin, and Carpinteria. So those are the communities that we're talking about, and I've broken down those communities here, but I start off with a general idea of some of the trends we're seeing. And what I'm looking at here is the days on the market. So how long is it taking to sell a home? It was incredibly low for a long time. It started to come up in October of 2022, where it was, let's see, about 30 days on average it takes to sell a home. It went all the way up to 45, and now it's falling back down. It's almost back down to 30. So what is this an indicator of? It's taking less time to sell a home. That means one of two things. The sellers are putting a better price on it, or there's more buyers out there shopping, snatching up the inventory. I think it's kind of the latter. I think it's more buyers out there. If a buyer, or excuse me, if a seller puts the wrong price on it, you know, they're never going to sell it. If they put the right price on it, it's definitely going to go right away. So days on the market, that's interesting. The other thing here, the absorption rate. So this is a data point that realtors use to understand how long does it take to sell off all the inventory we have right now if no new listings came on. A healthy market is at about 5 months. It would take about 5 months. That's balanced. If we got no new listings at the rate we're selling homes, it would take us 5 months to have 0 listings. Well, anything below 5 months is considered a buyer's market. So right now we are trending down once again. It's been incredibly low for a long time. I mean, low inventory is no new story. And what low inventory looks like in absorption rate is around 1 month supply. It takes 1 month to get rid of it, which is incredibly low. It actually climbed up to 2 months supply around middle of 2022. And as of November, December, it's starting to fall back down. So again, another indicator that the buyers are coming back out of the woodworks. They're snatching up this inventory. We got less property on the market. So as a whole in the Santa Barbara area, this is really interesting. The average list price in 2022 was $8,765,000. In January 2023, the average list price is $5,021,000. So a decline of 42%. Now, that could indicate to a lot of people, oh, the market's tanked. But in Santa Barbara, when we have these wide price ranges where you could have the top selling home for a month at 16 million and the lowest selling price at 500,000, it's easy for these averages and medians to get skewed if you have a couple of big sales here and a couple of small sales over there. So it's not uncommon for these numbers to bounce around so much in Santa Barbara, but this is interesting that it is so drastic. The average sales price January is $2,290,000, where it was $2,274,000 last year. So it is still creeping up ever so slightly. I also like to look at where some of the price points, the biggest activity changes in, and definitely some of the higher price points, we're seeing less sales happening, and some of the lower price points shored up a little bit better. So that's Santa Barbara as a whole. But as I dive into some of these niche markets in Santa Barbara, some of the interesting ones that I looked at earlier for this video was in Goleta. So Goleta is a great little community north of Santa Barbara proper. This is where you'll find UCSB. You'll also find the Santa Barbara Airport there. A lot of our industry, Cottage Hospital has a hospital out there as well. A lot of the tech industry like Deckers is out there, Fleer, Amgen, or not Amgen, but what's it? Remember that defense firm out in Goleta? Raytheon, oh yeah. That's where Raytheon is. So, you know, Goleta has a lot of our industry. Carpinteria down south, I'll get there in a minute, is another place where you see a little of this tech kind of moving in and that happening there. But Goleta, again, getting back to it, it has incredibly low inventory. So days on the market was up to 25 and it just plummeted down to 5. So I don't know, that stat seems a little skewed, but it's definitely showing you a trend along with all these other ones. The absorption rate, this is that how many months it takes to sell off the inventory. In November, December, we were looking at 0.8, not even a whole month, and it's continued to decline, and it's all the way down to 0.5 right now. So a half month supply in Goleta. So if we had 0 listings in a half month, there'll be 0 new listings in a half month, there'll be 0 listings to sell in Goleta. That's incredibly low. Also, list price to sold price ratio is starting to skyrocket there in Goleta as well. And the inventory is incredibly low. So I just thought that that was interesting that we're getting such little activity, and all the indicators are that the buyers are back and engaging in Goleta, and those values I think are surely propped up because there's nothing there and a high demand for it. I was just talking about Carpinteria, not a lot of data on Carpinteria, but it is trending the same. You know, one thing that's interesting about Carpinteria is that it includes Padaro Lane, where you get some really big sales, but it also includes a lot of condos and townhomes. So it can really jump around. I thought this was interesting that the average list price in January 2022 in Carpinteria was $55 million. And today in January 2023, it's $5,675,000. So those are the average list prices. The median price is quite a bit lower. And the actual average sales price this year, $3,599,000. Last year, $1,119,000. Huge difference, right? 3 million, 1 million. Seems like something major's happened there. It's not really. It's again the averages, because a couple of big sales filtered in from Padaro, probably in the $50 million range, that totally skewed all the averages and statistics there. But nonetheless, there's some really cool properties in Carpinteria, and it's a great community. I lived out there for about 5 years, and it's really nice, sleepy little beach town. If that's something you're interested in, I have sold a lot out in Carpinteria, and I've lived out there, so happy to talk to you more about Carpinteria market. Another thing I wanted to share with you guys, this is always kind of fun. In January 2023, let's go over the highest priced sale in Santa Barbara and the lowest price sale. So starting off with the lowest price sale, what I found was we had a 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo up on Upper State Street near Las Positas that sold for $547,000. 1-bedroom, 1-bath. This is a 640 square foot apartment style condo. I believe it had a carport. The association fee was $347 a month, and that's going to get you the insurance, the water, trash, common area maintenance, exterior maintenance. So not a bad association fee for all that stuff you get. But I thought that was kind of interesting. Someone picked up a second home or a rental or something. So the lowest price sale so far in Santa Barbara proper, this one here, this condo on Richland. Now, this is also kind of cool because it's a bit of an anomaly. The highest price sale in Santa Barbara so far this year was on Shoreline Drive over on the Mesa, one of my favorite neighborhoods, a really beachy neighborhood, close to town, close to the harbor, great park, Shoreline Park right in front of it. And adjacent to Shoreline Park, as you're progressing up towards Goleta, you'll get into a row of homes that are on the bluff there. And so that's where you'll find some of the most expensive homes in Santa Barbara proper. Anything that's on the coast is going to be super high dollar. And so this one right here on the 1547 Shoreline Drive actually came with 2 lots. It had its main lot with a over 5,000 square foot beachfront home that was fully renovated with all the bells and whistles of a nice modern home with the great design, the waterfall island with the marble wrapped around it, open concept, beautiful ocean views, high ceilings. I mean, amazing home. And it also had a second parcel next to it that was vacant, but it had approved plans for a house and a pool, and they were going to make it a compound. So it's basically 2 parcels with development plans to make that pool and guest house. And the whole package went out for $16,200,000. So there you go. What a contrast, right? Santa Barbara, we've got condos going out at $500, and we got bluff front homes going out at $16. And this is just, Santa Barbara proper. We're not filtering in the potentials of Montecito or Hope Ranch, which are known as the exclusive communities in the south coast of Santa Barbara County. That's where you're gonna find the most expensive homes for sure. But this one, ringing the bell up at the top in Shoreline Drive in Santa Barbara, I'm pretty impressed with that one. So as another talking point to kind of understand what's going on in the market right now, how Santa Barbara stands out as something different. Now, there's a lot of headlines out there of the real estate market starting to tank, and this is true. There's areas where it is really starting to tank, but I think there's also some things that the stats out there can get kind of manipulated and well that kind of tells a different story, right? And for example, the Bay Area has been called out as the biggest decline in values, and I've seen some economists say that it's gone down 32% or 28%, which I kind of question. I don't know if that's quite true, but what I found out, and this is playing into some of the narratives, and maybe something for you to consider whenever you're researching or you're listening to the things like this and learning about the real estate market and what the trends are doing so that you can better equip yourself for the right time, for the right purchase, all these things. I mean, it's always good to educate yourself, and as you're doing this, you understand that some of these numbers get manipulated a little bit. Like, for example, in San Francisco, in 3 months, they had a decline of 7%. And so what they do is they annualize that. Like, what is that an annual decline rate of? That's 28%, right? And so then the headline is much more interesting if you say annualized decline of 28% in San Francisco. But when you dive in, it's not like the values fell 28%. But if they continue their course for the whole year that they were on, they would be down 28%. So these are some of the interesting things that when you hear like everyone's talking about the real estate market, and you could hear every story like it's doing great, it's doing horrible, it's coming back, it's doomed, all these things. The localized issues impacting the Santa Barbara market is a lack of new supply. We don't have anyone really building significant numbers of new inventory, so that's where we're having the biggest problems. It's also protecting us from any kind of major downturn, I feel, because we don't have that new construction to drag down the value of existing homes. That's typically what happens in these real estate cycles. You could already see the leading indicators. Construction starting to fall off the map of single family homes. Next, we'll probably see construction of multifamily homes fall off the map. These are labor numbers, right? If you look at construction workers, you could already see that new home construction is falling down. What will this mean? Those are the leading indicators that then we'll also see some declines in values. But again, Santa Barbara not having that construction impact, not having those devaluations from developers discounting their stock, that's going to prop us up. And it's also going to continue to bolster, I think, the attractiveness, which is then just going to compound this issue because as it becomes attractive to investors, people with money, more of them get their attention locked on us and more of them come in, and it further compounds this issue of the 1%er, so to speak, coming in and taking over a town, which I hear all the time from the locals, like, I can't afford to be here anymore. And it's like, I know, I'm sorry, I sometimes feel responsible for that, but really I'm not. It's all of you with all the money that are shopping in Santa Barbara that are really coming here and choosing Santa Barbara, and it's totally fair. I mean, anybody and everybody who wants to live in Santa Barbara has the right to if they could find the right place, and it's so desirable that just people with a ton of money want to be here. So this place is super propped up, just like some places are feeling it in a negative way. I think Santa Barbara is feeling it in a positive way, and what I've seen recently is that this downturn that we started seeing creep into the market in November, December is really starting to taper off and maybe even reversing course a little bit as the buyers get more kind of confident and a little bit more worried that they're not going to be able to time a downturn and snatch up a deal. So if they see something they like, they better just jump into it right now. And that's always my advice for anybody looking. If you see something you like, snatch it now and just start living in it, because you could just spend forever looking and that's not going to help you out really. So this is the scoop for Santa Barbara. I think we're going to continue to see low inventory. I think we're going to continue to see more buyers coming into the market. We're going to continue to see outside investors wanting a piece of Santa Barbara, and we're going to continue to see a lack of new construction, new offerings. But with that lack of new construction, homeowners will probably get freed up opportunity to hire contractors without the long lead time and without the extra expense of having to, kind of prioritize which clients to work for as a contractor, because you know, their business is probably slowing down. So you might, as a homeowner, get more opportunity there. So I think I've hit on all the points I wanted to hit on. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Joe Parker with the Santa Barbara Group at Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate, and we make these videos to help people like you who are trying to learn about Santa Barbara so that we can give you our insights and then also create an opportunity to invite you to reach out to us. Feel free to call or text me anytime. Morning, noon, night, weekends, it's fine. We love hearing from new people. We're getting reach outs all the time, and we're helping people relocate to Santa Barbara weekly. So please don't hesitate to reach out. That's why we're making these videos. I love hearing from you guys, and make it a great day. I'm Joe Parker, Santa Barbara Group, Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate.